Hey everybody, Chris here from It's Mead Made, and today is the day. I just got my Epax E10 8K 10.1 inch resin 3D printer. I am super excited, and we are going to unbox this today and get it set up and running. So, let's get started. So we have this big pile of boxes, and before I get started, I just want to say a couple things. So the first thing is, I just want to say Epax has not paid me or endorsed me in any way to do this review that I'm doing today, because I'm opening this for the first time, and I'm just going to give you some of my honest opinions of like how I think of certain things. And that's good, bad, ugly. But I've heard amazing things about this brand. I have a friend that has the 4K version and he absolutely loves it. Which brings me to the second part. I bought this as a pre-release. It was supposed to come out early March, but due to COVID and some issues going on in China with shipping, it got delayed. And their customer support was fantastic. I actually emailed them just kind of curious of when it's going to be coming because I'm impatient. And they actually sent me a message saying that there has been some delays, and I had two options. I could either get a full refund, or they said I could wait, and they would go ahead and, just because of the grief it has caused, send me an extra bottle of resin for free. So I got an extra liter of resin just for waiting on 3 weeks extra than it was supposed to, because this is early April and this just came today. So it was almost a month delay, and I just think that was really awesome of them. They could have just said, you know what, it's going to be delayed, you can wait or cancel your order. But that just kind of, to me, that's a kind of company I want to get behind. So these 4 boxes right here are bottles of resin that I paid for, and then this one is the one that they sent me. So thank you, Epax. So I'm going to go ahead and open these, and then we'll get to the big box. So one thing I do want to mention that I really like about how these bottles were packed, I have bought a lot of resin in the past, and they always come in these nice little bubble wrap containers, but this is the first one that I've actually gotten that is also bagged. That's kind of nice, just in case it spills or something. It just is better for shipping. I don't know if this is a common thing, but I have never seen it. And it's just kind of a nice little touch, even though it's just a bag. So I got all 5 bottles opened up, and I will just let you know that I got the hard resin gray. I have heard that the hard resin works really great with these 4K and 8K printers. So I'm excited to really try this out because I've heard amazing things about it. So we will see. All the bottles I got are gray, and as you know, I paint everything, so I never go with colored resin. I only go with gray. Alright, so now I'm going to open up with my handy dandy Swiss Army knife. Yay, a box in a box. So I'm going to open this one up with my Swiss Army knife also. And look at that. Oh man. So I guess the best way is just to lift this thing out of here or cut the box apart. I'm going to try to lift it first. Okay, now it's time to remove all this saran wrap. Wow, that is a lot of saran wrap. I halfway expected this thing to spring off or something. So lift this guy up. And this whole thing is bagged. And it looks like we've got some pockets here. Power cord, which is important. We've got a knob of some sort. Ooh, a nice metal scraper. That's nice. And a nice plastic scraper, some Allen keys and screws, and it looks like we have a jump drive. A 32 gig SanDisk comes with it, which is really awesome. I know with my Photon, it came with a crappy USB stick that completely crashed my Photon multiple times, and then I had to ultimately throw it away. But this is actually like a real good jump drive. It is a SanDisk, so 32 gigs. Sweet deal. We've got the film. Oh, so our FEP comes in a tube. I've never seen it rolled up. That's kind of cool. Plastic gloves, which is awesome if you're new into resin printing. It's definitely something you needed. Power adapter, nice. And those are all the goodies. Next layer. Extra tape. So this is probably for an upgrade, unless I gotta put it on, but we'll see. This is really nice. You don't typically get this. I know I've used electrical tape and had to buy special tape when I've replaced my screen in my Photon. And here is that massive build plate, which is amazing. Oh, look at that. This is so awesome. To get prints off, like, why would you even need a scraper? Oh man, I am so excited for this. So it peels off, and then you can just snap off your prints. That is amazing. So then you just gotta align it. Man, this has got some weight to it. It is heavy. I'm very excited for this. The one thing is different, that it is a injection mold plastic. So it's hard plastic, it's not actually metal, which is a lot different. But this thing is very bulky, so I'm worried about the displacement in the vat. So this is probably going to take up a lot of space when you're in the vat, so you can't fill it up very high. We'll see. I don't know. Oh my goodness, look at this vat. It's gigantic. So we've got some filters, which are very nice to use. And then we've got our vat. So I'm going to go ahead and set this on my table now, because we are going to have to turn this on, raise the arm up, and then take care of our vat. So let's just go ahead, cut over to the table, and hope to God that this fits on my table. So before I get this set back there, and we're not going to be able to see it very well, I thought I'd show each side. So on the right side of the machine, we have a USB port, Ethernet, and then our power switch right here. And on the back of the unit, we just have where our power goes, and then we have obviously an access door here with Allen keys. And on the left side, all we've got is a cooling fan. And then on the front, we have the touch screen, nice little logo right there. And the one thing that already looks cool is they have a lot of these access panels right here. So on each side, there is some access panels to where you can easily work on this. So I haven't taken this thing apart, obviously, since I just opened it, but I can already tell that this is probably a lot easier to work on than some of the other units that I have worked on. All right, so I'm just gonna get this in place. All right, so I'm just gonna take off the film. It's already kind of peeled off a little bit. There we go. Such a beautiful reflection of my camera. Look at that. All right, so let's switch her on. Woo! Okay, so I assume we're gonna go to Tools. We're going to Manual. Get 10 millimeters and hit this a few times. Okay, so we have the home button, which is obviously going to bring it all the way down, where it's going to bring this all the way back down into the home position, but we don't want that. You've got your up and down, back, and then you've also got your stop. So if it's moving, it will automatically stop it no matter where it's at. So we're going to hit the back button. Then we have our exposure test. That's just how we can test it. And then we have the set Z to 0. So this is where we're going to home the bed. Then we have clean raw material. That's where it turns the entire screen on when we have a full vat, so we can actually peel it up. Then the back button, and same thing, stop. It'll automatically stop it. So let's go back. If we go into system, we can see the internet, we can see after sales service, language, tap adjustment. That's where we can calibrate our screen. And then just seeing some information about it. This has got the ChitU box interface on it, so it's kind of showing you all the details right there. and also our noise, our volume. I'm gonna go back and hit back again, and then print. This is where we would see if we have any prints in the USB stick. So I'm gonna just jump back there. Now it is time to level our bed. Now the big thing is a lot of people say that these machines, you absolutely can just put the build plate on and call it a day and start it right from the manufacturer. But me being super wary of everything in the world when it comes to 3D printing, I'm going to level the bed myself. So all I'm going to do is take my bed and slide it right on. So if you see right here, there is a bolt hole, and if you remember from our unboxing, it is right here, folks. All right, so just kind of screw that down. Make sure it's back all the way. Nice and snug. So you see here that there is Allen keys on each side of the build plate. All right, so I got the small Allen key here, and I am just going to loosen each one of these up. And just remember the old adage, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. There we go, you saw that thing drop down? So it actually has a good amount of give, so I just got to get it down touching. Now I'm going to use this piece of paper here, so now I have to take the build plate off because I don't want to use the thickness of the paper and the FEP. And as you can see here, that there is an actual seal around this already. So the one that it came with is actually an extra, which is awesome. So if I ever have to replace the screen, or if this gets torn or anything like that, I'm going to be perfectly fine with this. Okay. So now this is nice and loose and there's some wobble to it. And now all I'm going to do is go here and hit my home button. Now I'm going to have my finger on ready to hit stop just in case I hear grinding or anything like that. Okay, so now that it's in its home position, I am going to go ahead and just put a little bit of pressure down on the build plate of the screen and then start tightening. So the important thing here is I am tightening in a crisscross pattern. So I'm not snugging it down like crazy, but I'm still keeping pressure down on it and tightening the back right. Now I'm tightening the front left. Then switching over to the front right and just getting it firm. Moving on to the back left bolt, nice and snug. Now I'm tightening it even harder now, the final tightening on the back right. Now on the front left and the front right and then the back left. I am going to go back and then set Z to home and then confirm this. Now go back to manual and I'm going to move this up. I'm going to move it up quite a bit actually so I can see. Then I'm taking my printer paper that this came with and I'm going to set it all the way here across it to the back edge of the screen. Nice and even. And center that up. Now I'm going to hit the home button. So there we go. Now it's down and it isn't, you can see, it's not coming out super easy, but it should come out without tearing your paper. So I am pulling on this with not a super amount of tension, but I am pulling it. And it came out just fine. So that is what you want it at. So now this is perfectly homed. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and move this up quite a bit so we can get our vat in here. So you use a piece of paper because it is pretty much the same thickness as your vat, your FEP sheet. And just looking at this, this is dirty, so I am going to have to clean this, but I don't see any scratches or dings or anything like that, which is fantastic. And I've got some alcohol here, IPA, that I'm gonna go ahead and put in here and then wipe it down real good. So I just put a little alcohol in here, and then I have got some cotton pads that I usually clean my stuff with, and I'm just gonna clean it real nice. And I'm just gonna clean it real good and make sure I get all the dust and everything off of it. And I'm also going to clean the other side. I want to make sure I get all the alcohol off, and then I'm going to let it set for a few minutes and dry. The other thing I'm going to do is just take a clean cotton pad and wipe down the screen. Alright, I'm going to let that set like this and dry. And I'm going to go ahead and open up one of these bottles of hard resin. And it's always a really good idea to shake this stuff up for at least a minute. So here we go. Okay, so now it's nice and shaken, and this is nice and clean. Then I'm going to tighten these down on there, nice and snug. I am going to go ahead and just pour a little bit in here. So just past that edge, and wipe my bottle. And one cool little trick here is if you take a heat gun and you just kind of blow over the top, it'll pop all those bubbles. And slide this big guy on there. Make sure that's nice and snug. Alright, so now I am going to home the bed again. And wow, I got that right to the edge. For my first shot, I got it pretty freaking close. So a lot of the bubbles are pushing through, and I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the heat gun one more time. If you've never used the heat gun, I strongly recommend it because it's pretty awesome. I wanted to go through the physical dimensions of this machine. It's about 21.5 inches tall, and 13 inches wide, and 11.5 inches deep. And when it comes to the physical build volume of the printer, it's 218.88 millimeters wide, 123.12 millimeters deep, and it can print 250 millimeters tall. The 10.1 inch 8K mono LCD screen has a resolution of 7,680 pixels by 4,320 pixels. This screen is massive. So it's been a little bit over a week since I last opened this thing, and I've gone through almost 2 bottles of resin. Really what I wanted to do was I wanted to print a bunch of different models. And not only just different models, I also printed different models from different artists, because I wanted to see if one artist was, more accommodating for resin, some that I've always had problems sticking them together and maybe it was just my printer. So these are the things that I have found. So first let me talk about some of the issues that I had. The first one is really the resin. I had some issues with it because I was following the ChitUbox settings that Epax has on their site. So I printed this old King Thor from Eastman. So I used those settings in ChitUbox, and what I realized was I was getting an incredible amount of layer lines, and it didn't turn out too good. The layer lines, I can't even sand them out. So this was considered kind of a failed print in my book. So what I did to fix this was I lowered my retraction speed, and then I increased my retraction distance. I found that that actually did the trick, but I still feel like my settings can get a lot better, but for right now, they're working pretty good. The next thing I printed was this Spider-Man symbiote from 3DXM. It turned out amazing. But the one thing I did have issues with is how he actually connected. It just was too tight of a fit, but all the symbiotes fit perfectly.
So I figured I'm probably not cleaning the model good enough when it comes off of the printer. And the next couple models I did that and everything was perfect. This hard resin is amazing, but I have realized you do have to clean it in alcohol a little better than I'm used to. So once I got my settings in, I figured this is really the prime time to see what this 8K printer can do. So then I printed this X-Men Beast from Sanix. Now, I tell you what, I cannot believe the amount of detail that I've gotten on this. With my old printer, there's no way I could have gotten what this is. You can see the stitches. You can see his facial hair. The model is amazing, and now the 3D print is amazing. It is spot on. I cannot believe, honestly, how beautiful this is. I cannot wait to paint this. I'm just excited because I have a printer now that I can make these beautiful 3D prints. And the one thing that I've always had to do with Sanix in his models is I would always have to sand them down, like almost sand the nubs off just so I can get it to fit properly. But with this, I mean, I just cleaned it really good and it fits together like a dream. I've got it right now put together with just poster tack, but it's going to glue together seamlessly. And I guess that's the big thing about this 8K printer. The quality and the accuracy of it is phenomenal. I don't know why I haven't upgraded a long time ago. I am regretting that decision, but I'm also not quite regretting it because now Epax has this 8K resin printer. It's phenomenal. Then the last thing I just finished printing was this Moon Knight from Wicked 3D. Their models are known for their incredible amount of detail and just honestly how beautiful they are. This model fits like a glove. I cannot believe I'm not going to have to really use any kind of filler putty or anything for this thing. I'm just going to have to glue it together. But that's the thing I feel like I've been missing with like having a lower resolution resin printer. Because it doesn't have that quality to be able to get those perfect, accurate, precise matches of these 3D models. Because these 3D models are 100% accurate. And this is getting that accuracy for me to be able to assemble this stuff, I mean flawlessly. It is amazing of how beautiful these things are. When it came to the magnetic build plate, I swear I will never have another resin 3D printer without a magnetic build plate. I've used my scraper once. I mean, you just flex it off, and it is so easy. It's just, you push your finger on it, and there it is. It's off. And it was really nice to be able to just go into ChitUbox, save out the file, and then this accepts ChitUbox files. So after I slice it, I hit save, put it on that SanDisk, and I put it in, and everything just worked perfectly. I love it. And also, when this thing gets running, the fans actually get pretty loud. For me to like record another video, there's no way. I mean, it is that loud. And as big as this vat is, I still feel like it would have been a little nicer if it was just a little bit deeper. Because the build plate is so big, it displaces so much resin that you can't really fill it up like a lot for really big prints. When it came to printing out this hood and some other things, like my base for this, I was actually getting really scared because it was getting so low on resin near the end. So I actually had to pause it, pour more resin in it, let all the bubbles dissipate and try to blow them all off, and then let it resume. And I don't know about you, but that always freaks me out when I have to do that, because that's when you have the potential to get some really bad layer lines. The tightening screws on the vat as well are a little bit annoying, because when you're unscrewing it, it can fall into the resin. So I emptied my vat once to see how the FEP was holding up, and I almost dropped it into the resin. So you have to be very careful about taking the knobs off, because they can fly off either way. And the precision of this, it supposedly can go down to 0.01 millimeters of layer height. Now the Spider-Man, I printed it at a 0.03. And I mean, it is so smooth, it is ridiculous. So the big question, is this worth the $1,200 price tag? Personally, I say 100% yes. Because I don't regret this purchase. It is a quality printer, and it is making absolutely outstanding 3D prints. Because I feel like now that I have something that can print models like this, my level just rose instantly. Because my prints have been beautiful, like they're really nice. But now, the detail that I'm going to be able to get, the paint is just going to beg to be on these models. And I am going to oblige to that. But I will say one more time, Epax did not sponsor this video. They did not pay me to do this, or they don't even know I'm making this video. But I just feel like you should know my own opinions on it. I love it. All of the little issues that I've had are honestly just those issues that you have every single time you get a brand new printer. It takes time to really figure it out and know what it does, what it's good at. And this, I feel like a lot of the issues for me was just figuring out this Epax hard resin. But once I did, it's working out really well. So feel free to leave me any questions or comments you may have. Other than that, I wish you a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.